Is Mexico still safe for American travelers? The latest warning from the U.S. government suggests the answer is more complicated and more controversial than ever. But what's really driving these alarming headlines? And is it justified or political posturing? Let's break down what's happening, why it matters, and why many are debating if the risk matches the rhetoric. What's the story behind the travel alert? This Tuesday, the U.S. State Department shocked many by issuing a travel advisory that flagged possible terrorist activity in 30 out of Mexico's 32 states. It's the first time the U.S. has ever officially listed Mexico as having a terrorism risk. Quite a dramatic escalation. The advisory doesn't just mention terrorism. It also highlights soaring rates of violent crime, including homicides, kidnappings, carjackings, and robberies. According to the State Department, Americans should take extra precautions, and the warning was elevated to level 2 out of 4. Exercise increased caution. Where are the trouble spots and why? Let's get specific. 6 states, Colima, Guerrero, Michoacán, Sinaloa, Tamaulipas, and Zacatecas, have been singled out as especially dangerous, categorizing them at level 4, the highest risk level. The government warns against all travel to these red flag regions due to terrorism, violent crime, and the frequent threat of kidnapping. Other states like Baja California, Chiapas, Chihuahua, Coahuila, Guanajuato, Jalisco, Morelos, and Sonora weren't blacklisted entirely, but travelers are urged to reconsider their plans there. With these areas sitting at level 3, reconsider travel. Most of the country, including Mexico City, the State of Mexico, Quintana Roo, Oaxaca, Tabasco, and Veracruz, among others, is marked at level 2. Americans are advised to stay cautious here. Although outright travel bans aren't in place, both violent and nonviolent crimes are widespread. Only Yucatan and Campeche remain in the safe blue zone at level 1, indicating minimal risk. But here's where it gets controversial. What's driving the U.S. crackdown? Many experts point to political pressure from former President Donald Trump, who has demanded Mexico take tougher action against criminal organizations linked with drug trafficking and human smuggling. Just this week, Mexico extradited 26 suspected cartel members to the U.S., a bold move directly linked to American calls for more aggressive anti-cartel efforts, especially around the deadly fentanyl trade. Among those handed over were key figures from the notorious Jalisco New Generation and Sinaloa cartels. This marks the second large-scale extradition round this year. Back in February, Mexico sent another 29 alleged cartel bosses north, including infamous figures such as Caro Quintero, who's long been accused of masterminding the 1985 murder of U.S. DEA agent Enrique Kiki Camarena. Interestingly, while extradition isn't new, the sheer scale, 55 suspects already transferred this year, signals either unprecedented cooperation, intense U.S. pressure, or both. Add to that rumors, the Trump administration has even considered using the Pentagon for military operations against cartels. And you've got a recipe for diplomatic drama. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum recently confirmed that, while both sides are finalizing a security pact, she refuses any unilateral U.S. military involvement on Mexican soil, a stance sure to spark debate. And this is the part most people miss. President Sheinbaum downplays the travel warning, arguing that the terrorism label is more about politics. Washington's decision to formally designate drug cartels as terrorist organizations, than any sudden change on the ground. She stresses that Mexico remains America's favorite tourist destination, with nearly 1 million U.S. citizens living there, and claims hotspots such as the Southeast Coast, Pacific areas, and Mexico City are still bustling with visitors despite the advisory. So, is the violence really as bad as the headlines suggest? The reality is nuanced. According to a 2024 Human Rights Watch report, violence did spike dramatically after Mexico launched its war against cartels in 2006. But there's a silver lining. Under Sheinbaum's administration, daily homicide rates have dropped by 25.3% over the past year. From nearly 87 per day last September to about 65 now, marking the lowest monthly figure since 2015. authorities report major successes, including the seizure of over 3.5 million fentanyl pills and the capture of 29,000 suspected criminals, among them high-level cartel bosses. Yet, there's a twist. In cartel-dominated places like Sinaloa, violence actually flared up following the arrests of kingpins. Homicides in the state nearly quadrupled in 6 months, while disappearances surged to over 1,500 cases. Is the crackdown really making things safer? Or simply shifting the danger underground? For instance, the recent arrest of Ismael Zambada, the legendary Sinaloa cartel chief, came with unintended consequences, waves of bloodshed and disappearances as organized crime scrambles for control. Zambada himself claims he was kidnapped and delivered to authorities by rival factions within the cartel. Here's your question to ponder. Do you think the U.S. travel warning is a justified response to actual security risks in Mexico? Or is it more about politics and international pressure? Should Mexico be held to higher standards? Or is the U.S. overstepping? And what effect do these advisories really have? Do they protect travelers? Or simply stoke fear and uncertainty? Share your thoughts below. Are you planning to visit Mexico or rethinking your travel plans? Let's get a real conversation started.